Welcome to the Sleepy History Society. You've found a quiet little corner where the lights are low and the stories are endless. Whether you're here to unwind, study in peace, or drift off with a tale from long ago, you're in good company. If these soft-spoken journeys help you relax, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. It helps us keep the shelves full and the stories whispering. Now, let's get comfortable. Curl up, settle in, and let's turn back the pages. Together. Chapter 1. Sobek-Neferu, the first female pharaoh. In the long history of ancient Egypt, dozens of men ruled as pharaohs. But Sobek-Neferu, she was the first woman to wear the double crown, Dinan. She ruled for just under 4 years. At the end of the 12th dynasty, around 1800 BCE, she was powerful, decisive, and very deliberate in how she presented herself. On statues, she sometimes wore traditional male regalia, the Nemes headdress, even the kilt. But she didn't hide her femininity. She called herself Pharaoh, but also daughter of Re. Most of her monuments are lost. Her tomb has never been found. But records from ancient king lists and references in later texts remember her name. In a world where men ruled the story, Sobek-Neferu made sure her chapter was written. From the Nile to the Fertile Crescent, where power wore gold and names were carved in stone, let's meet another queen whose tomb still whispers secrets through time. Chapter 2. Queen Puabi of Ur. In the ancient Sumerian city of Ur, in what is now southern Iraq, archaeologists found a burial so rich it stunned the world. A stone tomb, dozens of attendants, gold, lapis lazuli, carnelian, and at its center, a woman. Her name was Puabi. She wore an elaborate headdress and an inscription that simply said, Puabi, Nin, Lady. Some believe she was a queen in her own right, not just the wife of one. There is no mention of a husband in her tomb. Puabi's burial shows wealth, status, and ritual. But it also shows memory, because everything buried with her was a message. This woman mattered. This woman ruled. As the desert winds shifted in Mesopotamia, far to the west, another queen would rise. One who defied categories, one who ruled like no woman before her. Chapter 3. Hatshepsut. The king, who was a queen, Hatshepsut's story begins not in shadow, but in splendor. She was the daughter of a pharaoh, the wife of a pharaoh. And then, she became pharaoh herself. She ruled Egypt for over 2 decades in the 15th century BCE. She didn't just maintain power, she reshaped it. She built monumental temples, including the stunning complex at Deir el-Bahri. She launched trading expeditions to Punt. Egypt prospered. And in statues and reliefs, she was often depicted with the beard and garb of a male king. This wasn't disguise. It was declaration that her rule was rightful, sovereign, divine. After her death, later rulers tried to erase her name, chiseling her image from stone. But stone remembers, and so do we. From queens, cloaked in gold and legacy, we now turn to women who ruled not just by bloodline, but by mind. Those who forged alliances, steered empires, and shaped diplomacy in ancient courts. Chapter 4. Shibtu of Mari, the diplomatic queen, in the ancient city of Mari, near the banks of the Euphrates. A queen once ruled from her palace of clay and frescoes. Her name was Shibtu, wife of King Zimri Lim, and her role extended far beyond ceremony. Shibtu governed in her husband's absence. She issued orders, received envoys, and managed affairs of state. What sets her apart? Letters. Dozens of clay tablets survive. Her correspondence to the king. She discusses military movements, temple rituals, crop shortages. She even gives advice. In one message, she writes, "The troops have arrived safely. The grain has been distributed. Do not worry." These aren't just words, they're proof. Shibtu wasn't merely beside the throne. She was part of it. A queen with authority, clarity, and a voice preserved in baked clay. From Mesopotamia's palaces of power, we journey east, to the highlands of Persia, where a woman once took the throne, and the world took notice. Chapter 5. Boran of Persia. The philosopher queen in the early 7th century CE. After the chaos of succession in the Sasanian Empire, a woman rose to power, Queen Boran. She was the daughter of King Khosrow II, and after his assassination, she inherited a fractured realm. What did she do? She minted coins, the symbol of the sovereign authority. She reformed taxes, restored justice, rebuilt infrastructure, and tried to stabilize a crumbling empire. Some called her reign brief, but it wasn't weak. Boran's name was inscribed on silver coins. Her image, her titles, her legacy. And she wasn't done. She ruled twice, returning to power after being ousted. A queen of action and intellect. Her reign was a candle flickering in a storm, but it burned bright enough to be remembered. Power, we see, wears many faces. Now we turn to women whose voices rose from sacred halls and smoky altars, where the divine whispered through them, or so their people believed. Chapter 6. Enheduanna, priestess and poet of the moon. Long before Homer sang of heroes, before the Psalms were written or the Vedas compiled, a woman raised her voice to the heavens. Her name was Enheduanna, high priestess of the moon god Nanna in the city of Ur. She was the daughter of Sargon of Akkad, and her position wasn't merely ceremonial. She united religious traditions across a newly forged empire, and she wrote hymns and some of the earliest known literature signed by a named author. I, Enheduanna, she begins, in cuneiform script etched in clay. Her words were poetry, prayer, protest. She wrote of exile, injustice, and divine fury, but also of love for the goddess Inanna and faith in the power of peach. Her hymns were copied for centuries. A priestess, yes, but also a poet whose voice still echoes through 4,000 years of dust and stone. From temples of stone to oracle groves, another woman's words shaped not literature, but fate itself, whispered from the shadows of a sacred spring. Chapter 7. The Pythia of Delphi, oracle of the gods in ancient Greece. Atop the slopes of Mount Parnassus, there was a place where mortals met mystery. The temple of Apollo at Delphi housed the Pythia, the oracle. She was not one woman, but a long line of them, chosen, trained, revered. seated above a chasm in the earth, breathing in the sweet, strange vapors that rose from below. She spoke in trance. Kings came. Generals knelt. Colonists sought her blessing before sailing west. Her words were cryptic, poetic, sometimes maddening. But none dared ignore them. She didn't rule with armies, she ruled with riddles. And in a world led by men, the Pythia spoke with the authority of gods. Even in silence, her breath still stirs the leaves of history, from sacred groves to sacred bloodlines. Let's turn now to the battlefield, where women did not whisper, but roared, where power was won not with prophecy, but with resistance. Chapter 8, Tomiris, the scourge of Cyrus, in the steppes of Central Asia, around 530 BCE, a queen ruled the Massagetae, a nomadic people east of the Caspian Sea. Her name was Tomiris. When Cyrus the Great of Persia attempted to invade her lands through deceit, she responded not with fear, but fury. Cyrus captured her son. Her son took his own life. Tomiris answered with war. In battle, her forces overwhelmed the Persians. Cyrus was killed. And according to legend, Tomiris had his body brought to her and plunged his head into a wineskin filled with blood. Drink your fill, she is said to have told him, of the blood you thirsted for. Historians still debate the tale. But her name and that moment remain etched in the imagination of empires. And from the Central Asian plains, we sail to a Mediterranean shore, where one woman's courage faced down the power of Rome itself. Chapter 9, Boudica, the warrior queen of the Iceni. In 1st century Roman Britain, the empire made a grave mistake. After her husband's death, Rome annexed the lands of the Iceni tribe. They flogged his widow Boudica and violated her daughters. Rome thought her broken. Instead, she rose. Boudica united tribes across Britain. Her army burned Roman settlements, including Londinium. Tacitus wrote of her fiery speeches, her chariot in battle, her long red hair flowing like flame. For a time, she struck terror into the heart of the empire. Rome eventually crushed the rebellion, and Boudica disappeared. In death or myth, but she never vanished entirely. She became a symbol of vengeance, of pride, of a fire that even Rome could not fully extinguish. From fire and battle we return to whispers in stone and silent testaments carved by ancient hands. It's time to explore the marks women left, not in crowns or conquest, but in the very architecture of memory. Chapter 10, Enheduanna, the first named author in history. Over 4,000 years ago, in the city of Ur, there lived a woman who shaped language and legacy. Her name was Enheduanna. She was a priestess of the moon god Nanna and the daughter of Sargon of Akkad. But more than anything, she was a writer, a poet, the first person in recorded history to sign her name to her work. She composed hymns to Inanna, the goddess of love and war, and through those hymns, she forged a new kind of voice, one that was personal, lyrical, and unmistakably hers. I, Enheduanna, composed this, she wrote, at a time when most names, especially women's, were lost to time. But hers was carved into clay, and because of that, her voice still whispers to us across millennia. From the written word, we move to the chiseled stone, where women's roles, prayers, and even portraits took shape in enduring form. Chapter 11. The grave stele of Hegeso in 5th century BC, Athens. A marble relief was carved. A quiet scene, frozen in time. It shows a woman, Hegeso, seated. A servant offers her a box of jewelry. There is grace in their gestures, softness in the folds of their garments. But this is more than a domestic moment. It's a statement of wealth, of identity, and of presence. Hegeso's name is carved in stone. Her figure, tender and poised, is immortalized. Women in classical Greece had few public roles. Yet here, on a grave stele, she was granted dignity, permanence. Not in life's arena, perhaps, but in its memory, from monuments and inscriptions to myths and divinity. Let's now explore the sacred realm, where women were not just remembered, but revered. Chapter 12. The Pythia of Delphi, Oracle of Apollo. In the heart of ancient Greece, high on the slopes of Mount Parnassus, stood the temple of Apollo, and within it a woman. Seated on a tripod over a chasm, spoke with the voice of a god. She was called Pythia, the Oracle of Delphi. Chosen from among the local women, she was believed to channel Apollo's will, delivering cryptic prophecies to kings and commoners alike. She didn't rule armies, but her words could stop them. She didn't write laws, but rulers waited on her whispers. Even the mighty consulted her, including Croesus of Lydia, and later Alexander the Great. Though her identity often changed with each generation, her power remained. A woman at the very center of decision and destiny, wrapped in incense and mystery. Beyond the mountaintops of Greece, far across lands and centuries, other women also walked among gods, not as mortals alone, but as symbols of the sacred. Chapter 13. Isis, goddess, mother, queen to the people of ancient Egypt. Isis was everything, a goddess of magic, motherhood, and rebirth. She was worshipped for over 2,000 years. But Isis wasn't just a divine figure. She was a mythic model, a protector of pharaohs, a mourner who resurrected Osiris, a mother who shielded Horus. Her temples stretched from Nubia to Rome. Priestesses and priests alike served her. Her worship spread across cultures and continents. Statues show her with outstretched wings, or nursing her child, a pose that would later echo in Christian imagery of Mary and Jesus. Isis's voice is the voice of devotion, of mystery, of enduring love. And in every invocation of her name, we hear the echo of power, wrapped in tenderness. These were just some of the forgotten, or half-remembered, women of the ancient world. Some ruled with scepters, others with words, some with wisdom, some with the whisper of the divine. Though their names were buried, broken, or nearly lost, they endure, because stories, like rivers, find their way, even through stone. Thank you for joining us on this journey through time. If this soft-spoken story helped you relax, study, or just wander a little deeper into history, please like the video, share it with a kindred spirit, and subscribe to the Sleepy History Society. It helps us keep the shelves full and the stories whispering. This has been your Sleepy Historian Shan. Until next time, rest well Take care, and let the past keep speaking softly.